A regular meeting of the Board of Education, Tuesday, October 17th, 2017, at 7 o'clock p.m. Kathy, could you please call the roll?
Bavar.
Here.
Wiggly.
Yes, here.
Bryden.
Here.
Gaspar.
Here.
Locke.
Here.
Lowe.
Here.
Dremel.
Here. Mrs. Blakely is going to lead us in the pledge tonight. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And Dr. Hitchens, are there any items to be added or removed from the agenda tonight?
No, thank goodness.
Yay, all right, then I am super excited to invite Dr. Joanne Smith up. Tell us about the STEM Scholars Program.
Hi, everyone. So I have the great honor of introducing you to 3 of our students that are STEM scholarship recipients. And so I'm going to have them do the talking because they're some of the smartest people in the room, lots smarter than me. So I'm going to hand it off to Ava Langstaff, and she's going to start the introduction. So they're going to introduce themselves and talk about the scholarships through Randy Hultgren's office. If you guys sit here, we actually need a microphone.
We're having internet too. Give me 2 seconds and then I want to hear everything.
Oh, yeah.
All right, go.
Hello, my name is Ava Langstaff. I am a senior, and when I first heard about the STEM Scholars Program, it was through my robotics team. And the reason why I was interested in it is because it offered an opportunity to explore various careers in STEM fields. As part of the STEM Scholars Program, we visit various businesses and local STEM career areas in the area. And I plan on going into majoring in a STEM field in college, so I thought that it would be a very unique opportunity to get a taste of various STEM fields, and even ones that I didn't plan on majoring. I, for example, plan on going into engineering, and at our last meeting we did a microbiology lab, which is something that I normally wouldn't be able to do as part of my major, but as part of the STEM Scholars Program I was able to explore that area of interest.
My name is Hannah Beal. I'm a junior, and I also heard of the program through our robotics team, and I wanted to apply for it because it seemed really interesting, and like Ava said, we get to explore things that we didn't know. I didn't even know some fields, and explored them, and I thought it was really cool. And so yeah, and after after high school, I want to go into engineering, and I have no idea which one yet, so it's helping me gear to which one I want to go into.
And I'm Andrew Scott, also heard about the program through our robotics team. It's the school robotics team, 2704. Roaring Robotics, we're pretty good. But I also heard it through my friend Evan Facero. He did it last year. That was the first year they started the STEM Scholar Program. And it just really interests me what he was talking about the program. He really liked it. There's a lot of opportunity to not only visit these interesting different places in STEM, but also meeting with other kids in our district that are also interested in STEM, meeting with Randy Hultgren, the congressman. So that's kind of why I wanted to join. I wanted to meet all these people, see their own kind of perspectives within our district. But I also plan to go on to a STEM field after high school. I'm thinking computer engineering. I've been doing the college process and all.
That is awesome. So, Ava, you said you want to do engineering too. Do you know what kind you want to do?
I'm considering several different fields. One that's a little bit more obscure, but that I'm very interested in is optical engineering. But another one of interest is civil.
We represent the 2704.
Thank you.
That is really awesome. And how many people from the robotics team are also doing STEM Scholars?
We're the 3 from our team.
The 3, okay.
In
Is there a
total,
limited number? That's one thing I didn't understand.
It is 29, I believe, right? 29? Yeah, across the 14th district.
Oh, okay. So you're 3 out of the 29.
Yeah, so there was an application process, resume, expression of interest, essay, all of that.
And is it only juniors and seniors who can do it, or can you do it as a freshman or sophomore?
No, yeah, you can do it throughout high school. There's a couple of homeschooled students that I think there was one that was like 14.
Oh, cool.
It's really just people who like have vested interest in STEM and want to continue on it. So.
Got it. Yeah, we've been seeing a lot about you guys lately. There's been a lot of news about our STEM Scholars, so we are always very proud to hear about that. Is there anything else that we should know about it? You guys were amazing speakers. You spoke very eloquently. None of you had notes. You were just very calm, and that is amazing. And you're killing stereotypes because we have 2 women on our STEM Scholars. Very had great presence and were really good speakers. So you guys are just killing stereotypes and doing amazing things and representing our district really well. So thank you so much for coming in and tell us all about what you guys are doing. Very much.
Thank you.
Great job, guys. Good job.
All right. Next one, did we have anyone for public comments tonight? No? All right, then I would like to invite.
Bye.
Good night. Thank you for coming.
We may as well
I
adjourn.
was a little intimidated. They're very smart.
They are smart.
I know.
Wait, what did you say?
I'd like to invite
I wanted
Amy and Carrie.
to say what is optics engineering, but
I did too.
I was a little intimidated.
Hi, everybody. Yeah, congrats to the STEM Scholar kids. I met with Randy Halprin's people and they were talking about them, so that's pretty awesome. Anyway, I do have a couple of things. Mostly it's stuff around here. As you all know, probably already, the Kane County Regional Office of Education asked Batavia to do the countywide institute and to host it on SEL and resiliency and restorative practices and all of that good stuff that we've been working on here. And it's really based on all the work that we've been doing as a district. And I want to first off do a huge shout out to the ACES team that we sent for that original training and who's been really carrying all this forward. Todd Swanson, Jenna McKnight, who had her baby and is on FMLA leave right now from the middle school, and Kathy Garrett, who is now retired, although she subbed the other day, so I saw her at the high school in the DA program. And now that we've bargained the change in the Student Services Committee to be SEL focused, I'm really excited about the work that they're going to be moving forward with because they'll be doing a lot of the planning for that and also for our February in-house institute work. And I think that's just phenomenal. And the other thing that's happening with all our resiliency and ACES stuff, Louise White, we agreed collaboratively, which I think is phenomenal, to send Louise White's school leadership team to an all-day training on November 8th with Jim Sporleader, who's the principal in the Paper Tigers documentary, and he's showing schools how to do system-wide, like school-wide systems in place to really deal with kids' social emotional needs and have everybody be trained and everybody working together to pull the same direction. So I'm looking forward to that, and we're thinking that Louise White then can be a model for other schools in the district. And I'm grateful to Kevin for really taking the lead on that and being willing to do it, and his whole school leadership team. So all of that work, I have to say, is just so heartening, and I think everybody's seeing the benefits of that. A couple of other quick announcements. So, BEA, I don't know if I mentioned this before or not, so I'm going to mention it again. We are going to unofficially rip off GEA's Trivia Night fundraiser. So, Geneva Education Association, they raise lots of money every year for their scholarships, and they give an annual scholarship to somebody who's going into education. BEA also gives a scholarship, but it's pretty modest, so we wanted to figure out a way to fundraise some money to make it worth people's while. And so we have a potential date, but we're going to do a big trivia night with raffles and a bunch of fun activities. It's penciled in for February 24th, so put that on your calendar as a potential date. And now we're just working out all the details, and then we're going to start promoting it and seeing how it goes. And then on a similar note, we are excited to have done a silver sponsorship for the Bulldogs Unleashed. And as part of our fundraising, we also bought 3 baby bulldogs and are working with National Art Honor Society and Don Zalkis to have them design and paint said baby bulldogs so that we can auction off. We'll probably keep one with BEA and then auction off 2 of them to raise money for the scholarship. So that's exciting. And then my last thing, I did go to Washington, D.C. on homecoming week, which was sad for me, but happy for me, for Super Week with the National Education Association. And I did meet with staffers for Randy Hultgren, Bill Foster, Raja, Tammy Duckworth, and Jan Schachowski when I was on the Hill. And we talked about raising debt ceilings for educational funding. We talked about passing the DREAM Act 2017, which is super important right now. And we also talked about something that's especially meaningful for Illinois, the CHIP program, which is the Child Health Insurance Program, which Congress let lapse September 30th. So it's just kind of sitting there, but Illinois is the 5th biggest recipient in the nation for this. It's for kids who they have too much income to qualify for Medicaid, but not enough to actually have their own insurance. And there are over 250,000 kids that benefit from that in the state of Illinois. So I urge you and everybody you know to contact your Congress people and tell them to please reauthorize CHIP and pass the DREAM Act, because our kids deserve it. That's it for me, but thank you. And IEA hasn't met, so I have no state level stuff right now.
Amy, I just checked my calendar really quick. I think that February 24th is a Music Buff Gala night.
Oh, okay.
So you may want to check that out. I'm not positive, but I had it.
I'll talk to our social chair, because that's good. Because we checked with the PTOs about their trivia nights, but we did not check about that. So, all right, I will let her know and see if we change our date. All right, thank you.
Thanks, Amy. Hey, student ambassadors.
All right, so first off, we want to give a huge congratulations to the boys and girls cross-country teams for winning conference. It's obviously pretty awesome that both teams were able to become conference champions. And also an update on Link Crew. So tomorrow, the Link Crew leaders will be meeting during their lunches with the coordinators to get more training and to learn what lessons to teach the following day, which will be Thursday. And then that Thursday, we will be meeting with our Link Crew or our freshmen and going through that lesson that we had prepared.
Yeah, and also since last time, all the juniors that signed up for it took the PSAT, so we're all waiting for our responses on how we did on that. I know the seniors did pretty well this year with like performance-wise, so we'll see how juniors do. And then other than that, still undefeated in football, so we're going to try to get a big crowd out to the game at North this Friday, so we'll see if we can pull out another win.
Well, the football team did beat Geneva 49 to 0.
Yeah.
With the onside kick in the middle. Congratulations.
It's the Sportsnet game of the week again this week.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like this is like the 3rd one or something. So.
Is this for conference champs?
Yes.
Yes.
I think, yeah. So whoever wins this one, big game.
They get lost times.
Oh,
They're both undefeated. Yeah.
Are we?
What meeting are you having on Thursday? The Link Crew?
The Link Crew.
For what?
To meet with the freshmen.
Next item is our consent agenda. Ms. Priest, will you take us through the consent agenda tonight?
It is a brief one. We have the approval of the October 3rd regular meeting minutes to start. 5.2 is the personnel report. 5.3 is our payroll and bills. 5.4, we received an anonymous donation of $4,500 for 3 dance scholarships. And 5.5 is the overnight request of the dance team to Orlando, Florida. Lastly, 5.6 is the approval.
All right. Are there any items for clarification or discussion?
I just have a comment about the payrolls and bills.
Okay.
I don't know, Tony, if there's any resolution to this. I find it a bit frustrating going through that. I can't be the only one. We have itemized what account something comes from, who the check is paid to, the amount, but there's absolutely no way to tell from what I'm looking at what it's about. And I'm not the kind of person that wants to bombard you with 15 questions every time I go through those things. Is there any way to add to that?
So like more detail, John, for what
just
the
a bit more
expenditure?
detail, a memo of something. This is, you know, maybe it's not. I just find it frustrating to try to go through and read those things sometimes.
Yeah, I
don't need an answer now. Just, you know,
we'll look into it.
Okay, thank you.
Was there actually?
I said that we would look into it.
I didn't hear that. All I heard was I, and then you stopped talking. I just kind of.
He was talking to me.
He's a little talker. He said, we'll look into it.
He's a little talker. It's my half deaf ear. So. Right, that'd be great. I think that we've had other comments about that, and if it's something that's not excessively burdensome, it would be great. Right, that was it? No other questions or comments? Then I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved. Second.
All right, we'll go with moved by Bedivar, second by Lowe. If you could you please call the roll.
Bedivar.
Yes.
Makeley.
Yes.
Dryden.
Yes.
Gaspar.
Yes.
Locke.
Yes.
Lowe.
Yes.
Dremel.
Yes. Next item on our agenda is our reports today. Dr. Hitchens.
All right, so the next group of agenda items under this report section, they don't require any board action. We always have the FOIA request and the treasurer's report as your first two. So before I turn it over to Brad, do you have any questions about the FOIA or the treasurer reports? So as a part of board monitoring, as you know, we just did, you have a calendar of monitoring that we gave specific months where your policy states will go through and monitor certain programs, and October is the time to monitor a few of these, and I'm going to turn over to Brad.
Sure. The first of these reports is about our EL program, and I'm going to invite Ann Pianessa, who is our director of our EL program and also the principal of HC Storm. So she wears a couple of different hats there. And if you want to come up just in case if they have any questions about the report. But our English Learners program has two parts to it. One is a bilingual component, the transitional bilingual education part, and that is housed at HC Storm, as you can see from the report. That is a K1, 2, 3 program. And then students get ESL support as well. Our bilingual program, because of numbers, is Spanish only. But if we had other languages with those needs, we would have to offer that programming as well in the bilingual. But right now, that is an ESL program for students other than Spanish in those grades. So that's kind of a little bit of what our program is. Ann has done an amazing job over the past 2 years of really leading our EL staff, including our bilingual teachers and our ESL staff. When she took the role as principal, she kind of knew that I had a little add-on to it as director of our EL program, and that's a lot of her background is in that area, so we were really happy to have her become a part of the team that works to support our students. And you can see we have about 200 students that are a part of this program, which is, in the context of bilingual and ESL programming, a pretty small program. But when we hired her on, we said we wanted the best small program in the state of Illinois. And Ann has taken a lot of steps to help us get towards having the best state program, small program in the state of Illinois. So she put together this report, and when she submitted it to me, it had a lot of pictures in it, and I took those out because they don't translate well. She's very visual, and as you saw in the board tours to her school, she's really transformed Storm and made it a very welcoming environment for our Spanish-speaking students in that K through 3 program. So the report is there for board consideration, and if you have any questions, either I or Ann will entertain those.
And I just want to say that I'm disappointed that you took the pictures out.
I can reshare them.
Okay.
We like it.
I am going to ask Dr. Hitchens. I asked her a couple questions in my meeting, and I was just wondering if you got the answers. I had not heard yet.
So, all right.
sorry to put you on the spot. I can remember a couple.
Oh, right. So the one I wasn't able to gather, but one of them I was able to get the answer to. So you asked how many times a year the access test was given?
Yes.
And that's
Is it twice?
No, it's once a year.
So we don't test it at the end to see if they are ready to go out?
That's a state mandated assessment,
Okay.
so that's not up to us. We follow ISB's requirements on that, and there's a once a year annual window on that. But we track students' growth and progress throughout the year.
Okay. And the second one?
There was the percentage of students that come in with no English, you know, as the whole population of the
The whole, yeah. Even if they're speaking Polish. What's the percentage coming into Batavia, no English?
That's a very fine question.
I feel like it's I talked about it with Brad, it is a very low number.
Very, okay.
Because I'm sure Michelle Erickson could help us get that, but
my concern was just on the fact that if a kid came in, I know we do with the Hispanic, the Spanish speaking, is what happens if some kids come in, let's say from France or from Poland, and speak no English at all. What do we don't put them into that Spanish class.
Correct.
You know, I mean, and I know we're probably doing resource, but I'm just wondering if there's something that we can help them with or so on.
Sure, and that's the design of the ESL program. So we have that at each and every building. And funny you should mention France. We have 2 students from France without any English at Storm this year. So we have that very situation. Our ESL teacher works very intensely with those students together. And they're siblings, but being in different grade levels, their language needs are the same right now. So getting some of that basic English up and running is done together. The teacher also pushes into the classroom. We've got a lot of great technology too that will translate right away. That is very helpful in the classrooms as well. And it was so great to go over on the students from France. As soon as the kids were able to ask questions through the translation device, one of the first questions was, "Can I be your friend?" How wonderful was that in 4th grade? So all of the students jump in to help the students as well. No, and then we also set up a play date in that case. We have parents that reached out that are native French speakers, and I arranged with the parents for the families to meet. So we do whatever we can to make them feel welcome, and they catch on very quick.
I thank you, because I thought it was a nice report that if both of you put together, if it was all Ann.
It's mostly.
Okay, I was very, very appreciative of it, of seeing it, and I was very, I don't want to say taken aback, but I was kind of surprised at all the different languages.
Right, absolutely.
From different places that we had in here that was just, and then my question to Lisa was, is that the primary language that was spoken at home though for some of them? So that you know, so on. So, all right, but thank you.
Ann, do you want to talk a little bit about how we identify students for EL services?
Sure. So any student that enrolls in the district, part of that package is a home language survey. And there's 2 questions on that. Is another language spoken in the home, or does that child speak another language? So in some cases, the child themselves may only speak English, but if Polish is spoken in the home, or Russian, any other language, that can slow down their English language development. So they may not be ready to access the academic language of English in the school setting. So once either of those boxes are clicked, then our ESL teachers are notified, and they do a screening of those students to see whether they qualify or not, whether they have the English at the same grade level peers to be able to be successful in the monolingual classroom without supports.
I have a question, and this is sort of along the lines of what John was talking about. And I'm more interested in what happens like along the middle school, high school. And I can only imagine it's got to be a very small number of students, but are there students that come into our district that speak Kurdish, Mongolian, Vietnamese at the high school level? And
right,
what do we do for that? I mean, obviously we don't have teachers that, or do we have teachers that speak that language?
Not that language, but that's the job of the ESL teacher.
Okay.
We have a specialized background in how to help any student from any language access into English. And we have special materials to do that. And again, so we're so lucky now with some of these translation devices that are very helpful. Correct.
And so that was a huge eye-opener for me a couple of years ago when actually one of the ESL teachers walked me through and I was like, really, you don't speak that? No, don't speak that language.
Okay. So I mean, I just...
Yeah, we have 9, in the reporting input, we have 9, last year we had 9 newcomers, which would be students who are coming from a different country or cultural background where they're countries.
Well, I knew they were in the elementary level. I just wondered.
Right. Oh, I mean, we could get a newcomer at any level.
At high school, you know, it's.
Right,
I wouldn't say it's more critical. It's just a different.
It's different, right? And we do have the staff.
You can take your ACT, and you know.
Right. We do have staff in place that immediately services them, and then as much as possible, we try and find other peers too that may speak that language. You know, and have some of that fluency. We reach out any way we can.
And I apologize because it might be in the report, but on technology challenges tonight, do we track how much that program is growing or if it's growing like on a year by year?
We do, and it's really been pretty much the same.
Okay.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah, we hover around that 200 number. Sometimes we're a few under, sometimes we're a few over that 200 number. But the program in my 7 years has been relatively stable. There was a time when Fermilab generated a lot more students who spoke other languages. So we did see those numbers fluctuate up a little bit during that time when Fermi was the only game in town with Tevatron. But you know, as those things stabilized and scientists from other countries went to Switzerland instead of here, then we saw that kind of stabilize over time, around 200 students.
And if I may, I'd like to give one other additional example of some of the technology that we have available that's just amazing. There's a translation device that can be worn by the teacher and the student that automatically translates for them for those newcomers. But you have to be careful. You don't want to spend too much time with that because we do want them to gain English, but even in certain subjects. So we have one of those on the way for our French-speaking students and utilizing just in math. But again, you know, you have to watch the percentage of time with that, but there's so many tools available now. It's wonderful.
I thought it was an amazing report. I was also surprised at how many languages. There's literally 24 different languages that we have spoken in our district, and I don't think a lot of people realize that we have that diverse of a community. So I think that's amazing.
And I hope you noticed in there the multicultural night in April, and that's a district-wide celebration where we do showcase and highlight that diversity. And we had a wonderful turnout last year, and we're looking to grow that even more this year.
I actually had to Google to find out where some of these languages were spoken.
Any other questions?
Thanks so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
There are 2 other reports, both the high school and middle school report about our school counseling program. And as part of your monitoring responsibilities, policy 6270, which is a homegrown policy because it embeds ASCA, which is the kind of organization and umbrella for school counseling. That's embedded within our policy that you wouldn't see in if you looked at other school districts' policies, because that was a way for us to have our school counseling program have a focus and kind of a touch point for their work. And both of our both our high school and middle school in this past year have earned their RAMP certification. It might be a story that you saw. What the RAMP certification means, and they highlighted that in their report, is that they've met the criteria of their parent organization of ASCA. So they go through a very rigorous, it has actually, on the first time, it has a very low pass rate. Both of our schools, right out of the gate, did a really nice job. But really, you look at the certain criteria around school counseling, about goal setting, about curricular work in that area. There's partnerships with your administration. All those things are part of your RAMP application. Both of our schools, our middle school and high school, were successful in that and were awarded the RAMP certification for their counseling programs this past year. So we're extremely proud of the work that they've done. Policy 6270 is a requirement in there to give you an annual report of some of the work. And we actually asked for this to be a part of it in consultation with previous boards, because the school counseling program can be kind of a hidden piece of what we do. We kind of understand what a classroom teacher does based on our experiences in schooling, but we maybe don't understand the new role of school counselors. So there's social emotional components, there's career guidance, there's college guidance. These are all a piece of what our school counselors are doing, and we asked them to share some of their highlights and some of their goals in these two brief reports.
Questions? Okay, so I'm memory challenged, and you may not know the answer, but didn't one of the groups score a phenomenally high score when they?
Yes, the high school got pretty much a perfect score on the RAMP application, which is pretty amazing.
Yay, high school.
Yeah.
It was amazing to find that they both passed on the first time, and then to find out that they got such a high score on top of it. They're both did an amazing job. And I think Tina and I both sat on one of the committees for that, and that was a really good experience. There we are.
And RAMP isn't about having a perfect guidance counseling program, but it's saying that we're committed to continuous improvement. And these are the steps that we're taking in order to do that. So you can see in some of the goals that they shared with you, it's not that our kids are perfect and our counseling program is perfect, but we're always working to get better. And I think they've really taken ownership over that continuous improvement process that is a part of the board's strategic plan. And I think that, to me, is the real celebration, is that people are committing to continuous improvement. There's always going to be hiccups and things that we can work on, but these two programs, who work together in many ways, are also committed to that continuous improvement.
I also think it's amazing that both of our counseling departments wear such dual hats between college and career and social emotional learning, and I think that they do it with a great deal of success in supporting our students in what every student needs, and I really value that.
I know, as a parent, I think, well, and you have kids the same age, watching this transition has happened, I think, well, our students, and probably Bob's too, have been there, and from my oldest to now, you can really see a difference, especially at the high school, because I'm not ever told anymore, but you really see a difference in the programs. And it's pretty cool.
I think my eldest knows counselors know him.
Right, yeah. I think they did a great job before, and now
focusing and showing, everybody has their, you can see the difference. It's very apparent there's a change, and how it's affecting the students and who they go to in the programs, and even the link crew and focusing on freshmen. It's been really kind of neat to see, because we did sit on it from the beginning.
Yeah.
So.
And actually, both of my children have had positive experiences with their high school counselors just in the last month. So
it's nice to see the changes.
So good job.
Awesome, Little in Batavia High School.
So the last report, I'm going to ask Natalie Ossel from the middle school and Lisa Palasi to come up in case there are any questions about our continued ALOB planning. But the Board of Education, when they adopted the strategic plan, it was a long process to reboot that strategic plan, and one of the pieces of that strategic plan is about personalized learning and really making sure that we're making changes to make sure that kids are successful. And kind of one of the highlights of that to me is what we've done with our Alternative Learning Opportunities program, the PAWS program at both the middle school and high school. And we brought forward to you in June, and you approved us submitting an application, a renewed application to the state of Illinois for our ALOP program here in Batavia. And part of that renewed application was an expansion to the middle school. And we have continued planning in that vein because there are needs, and what we saw from our first year at the high school was that school avoidance issues, mental health issues, other issues that are impeding kids from being successful in our schools, they don't just start in high school. This is, systemic problems that we see, and we want to make sure that we're able to support kids in a more holistic way sooner. So that is why we put that as a part of our application, and you thankfully approved that, and that was approved by the state of Illinois so that we could continue that program. It didn't mean we were launching at the beginning of the school year an ALOP program at the middle school, but I wanted to give the board an update. This is really a report that Natalie and Lisa have prepared for you, but an update about the different planning that's gone into a potential launch, which we see happening in January. There's more students than at the time when this report was submitted, so we have a number of students that this is a real need for them. They're struggling in our school environment, and we need to have some more flexible systems in order to support them. So I wanted to give you an update on planning. There's no action at this time because the next action you will see will be personnel requests. So those could be coming in the next couple of months. We didn't want any surprises for the board in terms of us asking for additional personnel to staff and support these programs. But there will be additional probably therapeutic staff and teaching staff in order to support the launch of the middle school program. There's a different funding mechanism that happens with an approved ALOP, where the school board, and I don't know what this means now in the changes of school funding, but the foundational formula, which doesn't apply to Batavia, applies to this specialized school within a school. So you have before you a report about the continued planning. So Natalie and the middle school team and Lisa have really done a nice job of looking at what our needs are, who are the potential students, and then looking at how to structure a middle school program in alignment with our high school program. Not that we want students staying in our ALOP program from middle school through high school, but you also want to have commonalities amongst those two programs, because we did see great levels of success in our high school program with Steve and his team. Natalie, Lisa, anything that you want to add about the report?
Nice job highlighting.
Would you say the number under next steps? Today we have 8 families who are eager. Would you say that has gone above the 10 mark, yes, or where are we at on that?
Yes, we are at 10 families. So the mental health team, our counselors who you just heard about, the approved staff, as well as our social workers, psychologists, and myself have been working and looking at data for a number of years to see who needs help, what types of help can we provide them, and working with families. And so we've been working with them and talking about specific needs and interests. And so we have 10 families who are very eager to get this support for their student.
The only because, well, I guess I'm just going to ask this. Do you see, if this really comes to the middle school, do you see a student starting at the middle school and then going all the way through the high school in the same program? Or do you see a mandatory, let's say, 2 years out or 3 years out or something like that? I'd just like to get some clarification on that.
Oh, that's a great question. So there are kind of procedural safeguards both within the grant oversight, but also some things that we've built into our plan within Batavia specifically to make sure that kids continue to make progress. So every year students have individual success plans. It's not as comprehensive as an IEP, but they have goals and targets that are set for them, and there are multiple meetings a year with the family and all the staff involved to say, how are kids doing? Are they making progress? And so the other piece of that is that our BLIT teams are also overseeing some of the data and progress that students are making, so that we're using that multi-tiered system of support that we've really worked on building within the district to help monitor the progress of students so that they don't stagnate. Because we don't want that either, because if the level of care is not sufficient, we need to look at, do we need more, do students need less?
Well, let me throw this in that, just from my own thinking on it. What about if a student feels safe in that program and then is working a way to stay in that program? How would you, I mean, these are just things that I'm just wondering about, that's all. I mean, I want to do what's best for the kid, okay? That's the bottom line. We want to do what's best for the student. I'm just wondering if someone plays that part or something, you know?
Yeah, and those are great questions. And so we like kids to be comfortable, but we like kids to also grow. So it's this fine balance. And so that's why it's really important to us to have mental health partnerships with families and community agencies, so that we're all working together to help push and test students, first to get students the skills that they need to feel more comfortable in the environment, but then also to have them implement those. So that's that comprehensive wraparound support that's built into this program, so that we're continually pushing and setting goals that are a little higher for students and families. And if we don't make it, okay, we're going to recalibrate a little bit, but that doesn't mean we're not going to stop trying.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
One of the kind of good feature, or the important features to me with the ELA program, is its flexibility. Because our ultimate goal is that students are able to access our core curriculum and be successful there. And it's kind of right now an all or nothing. Like you are or you're not. And the ELA allows us to really do a lot of blending with that. So some students in some classes might be ready to access that regular core curriculum, but they're not in others. That's really difficult outside of our program right now. Our system isn't set up that way. So this system sets up where we can start to blend that and give kids more of those options based on what their goals are specifically in their student success plan. So I see that as one of the main benefits, is it allows us greater flexibility to meet kids' needs.
But it's not just their educational needs. We're really focusing on their social and emotional.
Absolutely.
And that's what's different in this program. And that's very important.
And I think it's important to know too, as you've seen some of the donations that have come through, the Batavia Chamber, Chip In, and Batavia United Way have all been donating funds for additional SEL supports. So in the past couple of months, we've gotten about $25,000 in donations for outside counselors to come in that have more specialties. So for example, some of the students in the ELA program at the high school struggle with alcoholism in their homes. So they're starting a group for children of alcoholics. So that's one example of something that a school counselor wouldn't necessarily be able to do, but they're able to do. And John, to your point, the great thing about the high school program is because of that flexibility, we have students that initially weren't attending at all or were frequently hospitalized, as we've spoken. They started out the program 5 hours a day, and some of them are now only going for 30 minutes after school. And that's the beauty of it. And if they tend to dip, if something happens socially, emotionally within their home setting or in their life and they need a little more for a short amount of time, Steve and Lisa jump right in to support them and set goals for, we're here to support you, but remember our goal is to get back to class. So it's really wonderful to kind of see that flexibility within the program. And again, something that's difficult to do in a typical classroom.
Any other questions? I love this program. I think it is life-changing for the students and the families that are in it. And I think as we, as a district, commit to personalized learning, this is a first step. But I think kids won't even think twice about it that someone's in a program like this, because we're working toward giving every kid what they need to succeed. And I think that it makes me really proud to be a member of this district. So thank you guys.
Thank you guys for your support.
Thank you so much for your support. We're very excited.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right, those were all of our reports tonight. We just have policy on the action. Action tonight.
This is listed as an action item. We've talked about the extracurricular policy for a few meetings here, and when you think about the board's role, you need to create a vision, and your vision for extracurricular should be, when you read this policy, people should know what you expect of the extracurricular. So if we did a good job when you read this, you should know that the board values extracurriculars because of the way that they build character within the student body, and they extend the learning outside the classroom, etc. And then another piece of this is this policy should serve as a frame for a group to go and take it and bring it to life. So if this policy represents your vision, and if you think that it is something that this other group could take action on, in this case, which is the stipend committee, they would take this and make sure that it's happening for the extracurriculars, then you've met your goal of reviewing or revising this extracurricular policy. So
we did have one minor change in wording that we had talked about in that John had brought to us, and then we sent you off to work on it. Questions about that verbiage and the change that was made, or discussion?
I do. After, I guess, more time to look at it since it was brought up, I have a concern as the appropriate for the activity. I had a discussion with Lisa, and I'd rather see the period after students, because I looked at it a couple different ways as I had more time to think about it. Was it to make cuts? Was it to make some other issues and so on, where I thought just at the end of students was clear enough. So I'm just giving my opinion at this point, and just where after thinking about it and looking at it for the last couple weeks now, it's just, I just don't like the added words to it.
It used to read as possible, correct?
Right. Can you tell me why you don't like the words as appropriate for the activity? What's the objection?
Well, I came up with like 3 different things in my own mind, and one of them was, is it for like making cuts, for cutting the students from a team when they go off for tryouts? That's one. Now I know there's certain parameters with regards to some teams where there possibly are some cuts and so on, and that might be clear. The second thing is, when I see that, I looked at it as appropriate for the activity. Is that something of barring, let's say, a girl from being on a boys team for some reason or something like that, even though I know it happens out there and so on?
Well, that's driven by the IHSA, is it not?
Well, it is, but there's also that when you start putting, to me, that wording in there. And then possibly the other one I had was just a physical or something with, again, it's another one that's probably protected by the federal with discrimination or something. I just looked at it as I just didn't see the need for it. But that's after I had looked at it more or less.
Okay.
So that's just my 2 cents.
So how would you like the sentence to read?
You want it to stop after
students. We have it's not grammatical, so let's figure out how we finish that sentence.
Well, let's.
Well, I don't know what anybody else has to say.
Yeah,
so.
John, let's just make sure that, like, we're trying to respect everyone.
Yeah, I'm not.
There's some consensus that we liked the change, and was it your suggestion originally that we add, or was it? I can't remember.
My suggestion?
Yeah,
or
whose
John's
suggestion was it to add?
I don't believe it was my suggestion. They certainly don't.
I think it may have been mine.
Oh,
Chris. I don't personally have a problem with the language as it's written.
Okay, so Bob, what are your thoughts?
But it did used to say as possible, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so it does finish the sentence. I think as possible covers it, to be honest.
Well, my problem might be with as possible.
Oh, okay.
Is that it seems to indicate that what we're requiring for the sponsors of that particular activity is an open-ended recruitment. It's whereby the number is more important than the quality.
As possible, you mean, John?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, right, but if an extracurricular activity, like let's say marching band, for instance, they can't have 300 kids on the marching band because they don't have the staff appropriate to make sure that that can happen.
Exactly.
They probably also don't have the field space appropriate to make sure that that's happening.
Right.
So the leaders that are running that extracurricular kind of have to determine what that appropriate number is for that activity.
Which is why I think that language.
Which is why I think that language.
Oh, okay, I used as appropriate. All right.
Thank you for making my case for me.
All right, then I guess I'm okay with as appropriate.
You made your
Just
case, Bob.
totally inadvertently. Down to then, Sue, what are your thoughts?
I agree with Beatty Bar and Mr. Dryden.
I called on Sue first.
Oh, sorry. I thought at this end you were just...
No, I said Sue. Let's start with Sue. Sorry.
That's fair.
Thank you.
It's fine.
Chris.
I agree with Mr. Dryden and Mr. Beatty Bar that we should leave it as changed. The reason that I think it shouldn't end after as many students is for the same reason I didn't think that as possible was appropriate. If I was a parent reading it and I felt that my child was unreasonably cut, I would say that, well, it says right here that you want as many students as you want, as opposed to if we say as appropriate, then, you know, each activity is different with different expectations and different goals.
It's fine.
All right, I think there's a consensus that we understand what John's saying, but I think that we seem to appreciate the value put into recognizing that different activities have different limits, et cetera. So any more discussion on this? We talked pretty extensively last meeting about the philosophy behind it, and I think we were all comfortable with the philosophy. We're just stuck on that one section. So any other concerns or thoughts?
I'm questioning the words "and fun" in number 5.
It was in the
Evaluation, the
policy
sponsor will monitor participation and feedback to ensure experiences are fulfilling. I like that. And fun for the participants.
Are you anti-fun now, Jim?
No, I'm not.
Just
not
check.
all
If it was
anti-fun.
just-
Fun isn't mandatory.
Fulfillment might be part of fun. Or fun might be part of fulfillment.
Or may not be.
Are fulfilling for the participants seems to me to be better language, but I certainly am not a killjoy. I would hate to think that any kid participating in any extracurricular activity is not having the time of their life. But I also know that many of the activities that we offer for students as extracurricular are a lot of times about hard work and growth as opposed to just having fun.
That's where the word fulfilling comes in.
I think the word fulfilling is terrific.
No, I think hard work and growth is fun, personally. I would choose hard work and growth.
Were you never 15?
I might have.
So this is an important one, I do have to say, because the stipend committee has already talked about this language, and they have to design a feedback system.
Right.
So if we leave the word fun in there, then part of the program evaluation is, are you having fun?
I'm not having fun.
And that's kind of when you pointed that out yesterday, the meeting, it kind of stuck in my head, and I thought about if I were a sponsor and doing an evaluation of my program, and part of what I'm going to, all you kids evaluate this program,
That's fair.
With the stipend committee, if we just use the word fulfilling, is that enough for the stipend committee to work with?
I think so. For sure.
I would agree.
I think, yeah.
So we're trying to not monitor how much fun we're having. You killjoy.
I don't
No, we're not trying to mandate how much fun.
Yeah, I don't know.
Right, we want it to be a meaningful experience.
I don't know that band practice in the rain is fun. I don't know always.
Not for every participant.
Not for every participant. I don't know that some rigorous weight training is fun. I would just for wrestlers and whatnot.
I'm okay. So let's just do a quick poll to make sure everyone's okay.
Are you exasperated, Tina, with me right now?
I think I am.
I can see that on your face.
Nothing, go ahead.
I can see where, especially in terms of since we are sending this to the stipend committee to create procedures and feedback loops, et cetera, that maybe that would be a good change. So, Sue, are you okay if we take "and fun" out and just leave it at fulfilling? Correct? And set fulfilling, gentlemen?
Yes. Are fulfilling for the participants? Or just
Sue, I'm
ending
starting
at
at Sue.
fulfilling?
Sorry, I'm starting at the end of the table.
Are fulfilling for the
Lord.
participants. So I'm asking if we can't strike 2 words from number 5.
So just "and fun."
Just strike
and fun.
Strike and fun?
Words.
Batavia board removes fund from district.
I like it. Can somebody tweet that out,
Yes.
please?
Yeah, I got it.
It's already on TV.
Everyone's done? Move on. All right, then,
Fun's out of here.
no, are we good now? So I am entertaining a motion to approve this policy as presented with the words "and fun" removed from line 5. Dremel just requested that we take the fun out of our extracurricular.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Lowe, second by Mark. Kathy, could you please call the roll?
Lowe.
Yes.
Beatty Bar.
Yes.
Blakely.
No.
Dremel. No,
Yeah.
wait. Yeah, yes, okay.
Yeah, I'll vote now.
Dryden.
Yes.
Gaspar.
No.
Locke.
No.
1, 2, 3, 4 to 3.
What are we missing? Oh, I only have 4 written down. Lisa only has 4 written down.
4 yes, 3 no.
Well, that was fulfilling.
4 yes, 3 no, it passes.
Sure wasn't fun.
These guys are going to use this in their
It's not
campaigns
fun.
next time. We didn't vote to remove fun.
Dremel voted to remove fun. All right, so that is all of the items on our agenda tonight. So we will move on to administration comments.
Sure, speaking of fun. So the board has been going through some training and we've learned a little bit about the strategic role of the board. And so your role is to set a vision for this district. And then the level below you would be that tactical, where we take your vision and we make the plans to make it happen. And then there's the operational. Those would be the teachers in the classroom that are day-to-day in front of the students. And I just have to take a minute to celebrate the tactical group today because it's National Principals Month, and we have 25% of the most amazing administrators from our district right here. Of those principals, there's other administrators in the crowd, but we do have 2 principals with us. National Principals Appreciation Week, National Principal Appreciation Day is the 20th, so hug principals. Thank you very much for all that you do.
Next meeting.
Oh my goodness. All right, Mr. Gaspar, we'll start down by you.
Okay. I really wanted to thank Kathy this week for getting some papers printed out for me. Was very appreciative. And the meetings I had with Lisa were very engaging. Thanks for the emails we get. It was a great homecoming. Good parade, at least where I was standing. A great Hall of Honor, and you can start nominating for next year. Anybody that's an alumni or a friend of Batavia, please go to the website, fill us something out. You have, I think, until February. So please get as many in as possible so the committee has some names to read and to pick from. I also wanted to thank Sue Gilleron for the dining fundraising site. I think that will help out. It will also help out the other PTOs. And for my fellow board members, I cannot attend the BIC meeting on November 11th. It's a Saturday, so if you have any concerns or you would like to go to it, let Lisa know. But I will be out of town that weekend, so I just want to give anybody a heads up that I will not be there. Thank you very much.
Thanks, John. Who's playing that weekend?
Huh?
Who's playing that weekend?
Somebody. I'll be in Maryland.
Well, we had our first stipend meeting yesterday, and we have a lot of work to do. And it's gonna be interesting. We're kind of in a position where we have to start completely over, and I imagine it will be long and laborious, but I sincerely hope within a year we have a roadmap to work from, and we know where we're going ahead of time. And I would be more than happy to report to any or all of you as we go forward. Go Bulldogs.
Thanks, John.
Doesn't sound like it'd be fun, but maybe fulfilling.
Yes, at the end.
That's such a grown-up attitude.
I just like to pull things 360.
Bob?
It was really great to see the scholars tonight, especially since all of them were robotics kids. My first experience in the district from a volunteer education perspective, I was the web mentor for Order to Chaos back then when they were 27 on the floor. So it's just great to see that we have these small extracurricular activities that actually lead to really big things as well. Speaking of extracurricular activities, there's a big one tomorrow. The Batavia Marching Band has been having a great season. Last weekend, they actually competed in 2 competitions on the same day. One was the state championships. They finished 3rd at ISU, and then they drove all the way back up to Downers Grove South to do a show there in the evening, and they took the grand championship. They were the best band out of all the bands there after they traveled all day to get it up. So tomorrow night, I know this isn't going to be on before tomorrow, but tomorrow night they're doing a community performance at the stadium. The doors open at 7:30, and they will probably perform around 8, and they're going to be in full costume. They're going to do the show from top to bottom for anybody who wants to go see it, because they are prepping to go compete in St. Louis for Bands of America.
What time, Bob?
Doors open at 7:30 tomorrow. So it'll be under the lights in the stadium, and it should be a great show. It's a really good show. And thanks to everyone on the board. This is another great meeting. Yes, we can do that because we have awesome turf.
Yes. You know, I was driving by in this horrible weekend weather that we had, and I just felt so bad for the kids practicing because they were out there.
Well, the crazy thing was, in the morning they practiced at ISU.
Did.
It was sunny though.
Oh, really?
Downers Grove South, not so much.
Yeah,
well, I mean, at least it wasn't.
It was
much better than
They didn't
here.
get 7 inches of rain. And,
No, that's awesome. Good for them. I have no comments.
I also was at ISU this past weekend watching Rotolo Cross Country compete in the state tournament, and I want to congratulate Katrina Schlenker for her first place in the girls for the 2nd year in a row and setting a state record by, I believe, around 11 seconds or something like that. And so that was pretty phenomenal. The boys also took 4th, and the future looks very bright for them next year. Also, I believe that our cross-country team, as our student ambassadors told us, did really well, led by a sophomore girl. So I'm really looking forward to the next couple of years and watching them. Good luck to the football team. Good luck to all the kids starting their winter activities. Thank you to the Batavia Police Department and Fire Department for the police escort from the high school to Rotolo Middle School in a monsoon. But it was kind of cool going through town, having the sirens blasting, even though we really couldn't see. And that is all.
I just want to thank Lisa Placey and her team of counselors at the high school and the middle school for all they do.
Thanks, Sue. I was with the cross-country coach from a rival high school, and the comment there was,
What high school was it?
"Whew, what is with the Batavia cross-country program?" And I said, "We grow with the middle school, and they just keep on running through high school." So that was awesome.
They do.
I have no other comments, so I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Was that you, John Gaspar?
Nope, driving.
John Dryden. All right, moved by Dryden, second by Blakely? No, Black. I can't hear nothing tonight. Second by Locke. All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.